They're ready to get underway. On the right, we've got what appears to be probably a paradoxical outcome deck.
You are correct. I did get to look at both these lists quickly before I handed them to our stream
I can
coordinator
smell
here.
a Mox Opal deck from about 400 feet away. So
Well, considering that's what you've been on recently in Modern, this should be exciting for you.
that's
Um,
right. And on the left, we've got a burn deck.
no,
It's not a Sunbaked Canyon.
don't believe it was burned. We'll have the list back in just a minute here.
Sure.
Working on updating, so they are both 3-1. I did not grab. We had one 4040 table. I kind of expected them to draw, so I didn't grab them. So these guys are
this
both.
is Mono Red Prowess.
Yes.
I
yes,
watched.
yes, yes.
I watched a bit of his last round. Really, really explosive deck. Doesn't quite tax the game actions and game economy the way that Burn will, with cards like Eidolon of the Great Revels.
Correct.
But it will pressure the Urza, in this case, the outcome deck, really heavily.
Right. It makes him play probably a lot faster than he would have to. So yeah, looking at the mono red list, Lava Dart, Lava Spike. This one I'm not as familiar with. I assume these are pretty typical choices here. They'll light up
Yep.
the stage.
This is actual boilerplate. It's 4 ofs all the way down until you hit his actual 3 Fork Bolt, 2 Burst Lightnings, and a single Renegade Tactics, which is going to be a little bit of an odd duck, but he's got the tools with the Fork Crash through. He's looking to power out prowess creatures in order to really, really pressure Jacob's life total here.
Sure. And then just the 18 lands in that deck. So then on the other side, our Paradoxical Outcome deck. So this deck has a lot of things going on.
Yes, it does.
And I have played against you with you playing this deck. So I kind of know what's going on here. So now this is the Urza deck. You can tell me this looks pretty stock based on what I've seen you playing. So
Yep. This is about the only deck, as a weird piece of trivia, this is the only acceptable deck in Standard or Modern or Legacy that should bother playing any Wishclaw Talismans at all. Because the turn you activate this card, which you see on board right now from Jacob, the turn you activate it is typically the turn you win, so giving it away doesn't matter that much. The deck itself is trying to win through a critical mass of artifacts and then bouncing those artifacts, usually 1 cost or 0 cost artifacts, back to your hand to draw additional cards to chain together paradoxical outcomes with either a Saheeli Sublime Artificer or a Sai Master Thopterus on deck to create an overwhelming number of artifact creatures to attack your opponent with. Sometimes these decks have also relied on a single copy of a card like Nexus of Fate. In this case, Jacob is playing a Nexus of Fate to create effectively an infinite amount of mana to continue to take extra turns.
okay. Well, then I assume you can infinitely attack with whatever you have going on. I mean,
Correct.
that's what you did with Nexus of Fate in other formats.
Correct. And in this case, some of the other decks have relied on things like Grinding Station or something like that. Sometimes you see the Thopter Foundry sort of the meat combo. In this case, that's not what we're doing. We've got Kyle actually powering out a prowess attack here.
Yeah, and I think he lightning bolted to start the turn. I think he went lightning bolt, then
Skewer.
yep.
And he explosives on 1 there to get
Yep.
rid of the Monastery Swift Spear,
Which makes sense.
which cost him his own artifact here. Now this is going to be interesting because he's got a 2/2 construct token from the Urza here, and he still has 4 cards in hand.
4 cards in hand. Like yeah, with the cycling of the Astrolabs, he's still doing pretty good on cards in hand.
There's a lot of damage on deck coming through next turn.
Yeah, the 2 cards setting up there, that's from the light up the stage from last turn, so he's going to have access to those, and he can just cast both of those.
Jacob currently has access to 3 blue mana with his Urza and his artifacts here as well.
Yep.
And that's a Witching Well, which is a really efficient artifact from Throne of Eldraine, which is just another egg. It lets you scry 2 when it enters, and then you can pay 4, a blue and 3 to sack it and draw 2 cards.
Yep. I mean, it looks like he's just getting together to set up his paradoxical outcome for probably next turn.
Yep.
Being he's still at 16, he's in a real good spot here. This is where he wants to be against this deck.
And Kyle's played this really well so far. He has an embarrassment of riches as far as the damage. What he's hoping to leverage, though, is going to be a Well, he's targeting the Burst Lightning for 2 at the Urza.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a casted for the prowess.
Yep.
Um,
And there's the Lava Dart
yep.
for the extra prowess. Now he has the burden of having to try to power through here and find a card like Crash Through.
Yep.
His ability to win this game strictly on the back of attacking is going to be very difficult once something like Saheeli comes down.
Yep.
Or because Jacob's untapping since that Urza is going to survive and he's deciding what to do here. The Urza's not going to survive.
No, because he flashed back the Lava Dart.
Right.
Urza actually is going to go to the bin. So.
Yep. So Jacob would have had access to an enormous amount of mana.
Yep.
In this case, he's going to block to preserve his life total.
I mean, it's a 5/5, and I see 3 prowess triggers, so actually just dies. The construct gets to live. So, and I think that was just mistaking how many artifacts were there. Now,
Or maybe that it counts itself.
and he was about to pop his bauble, then probably remembered his token would have died. So,
Yes. That's some pretty clean play so far.
yep.
Oh, that looks like a
There's
sigh. That's going to make a Thopter. So Jacob was set up to win last turn, and I mean actually just create a board state that was unmanageable.
Yep.
And he's attacking back from here.
Yep.
That's probably the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean,
3.
yes, you have
4.
access to your paradoxical outcome through the whatever the name of that artifact was, the the one that's terrible in every other circumstance. But like right now, you can just attack through guys.
Oh, the Wishclaw Talisman.
Yeah, the Wishclaw Talisman. Yes, that one.
Yep.
Um,
Next turn, depending on his situation, if he finds a 5th land, he could, for example, activate the Wishclaw Talisman to get another Urza, play the Urza, and then basically win from there.
Yeah.
You're going to see a Lightning Bolt, and then that's going to go to another Skewer the Critics, I think.
yeah, and right now he's just trying to race. Oh, and actually he aimed the skewer at the Thopter. He's just trying to mitigate the construct. I think Kyle's just not in a good spot here. I think that was Engineered Explosives, I believe, was the card he just drew.
Which is pretty favorable for him here.
Yeah. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. So, I mean, that's a 7/7
Make it an 8/8.
construct. He's actually just gonna play it on 0, it looks like.
Yep. Get his Thopter.
Get his Thopter, so
Attack for a lot.
5,
That'll
6,
be
7, 8, 9, 10. Size of 2 power. Yeah, so I mean, put him to 3.
Size of 1 power.
Oh, size of 1 power. I'm sorry. So put him to 4.
Size of 1/4, which is one of the things that makes it such an important creature in this matchup.
So, I mean, Bedlam Reveler, he at least blocks. The construct doesn't fly or anything, so he can maybe buy a turn.
Maybe.
But the other problem that he's running into is he's having to continually push his damaging cards at the board, and every time you're doing that, you're slowly falling behind in a burn deck.
Right.
He does have him to 9, so I mean it's not hopeless, but there will definitely be a lot of chumping going on this turn.
Sacks the Wishing Well there on the end step.
Yep.
Shrinks the construct, but it doesn't really matter from here.
The construct is bigger than his opponent's life total at this point, so now he just
That's a paradoxical outcome. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, that is fine and super relevant here. Oh, now he's gonna go get Urza. At least I would assume. Yep.
He plays his Mox Opal. He gets his. Remember to get your Thopter token, boys and girls. Remember out there.
Remember triggers. Oh,
All of our young aspiring artificers.
All
and
right.
from there, this is going to be.
Yep.
Not insurmountable, but difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I think you still you swing with your 2 things that can. You swing with you effectively abyss your opponent by swinging with your construct. You swing with your 1 Thopter that can, and then you proceed to continue doing what you're gonna do.
He's gonna make 4 mana.
Or is he gonna?
He's gonna cast the outcome here
Okay.
because he can grow the construct an arbitrarily large amount. He'll bounce this to hand, picks those up, draws that many cards,
Yeah, including the Psy, which actually make. Oh, he's still thinking.
Yeah. There's no reason to pick up the Psy here, I
Okay.
don't think. He's just hoping to chain together some more
Basically, some more free
outcomes.
artifacts, right?
Yeah.
Or something to deal with blockers.
Yep.
All right.
For every creature, or I'm sorry, for every artifact, he'll create a Thopter creature.
So basically, putting all those back in his hand, he's going to double their number for the power toughness of the Urza token.
Correct. And now they tap for 3 blue for a Saheeli, and now every artifact will make 2 artifacts. Artifact creatures.
Well, and his one Thopter that he left, he can turn into a copy of the token to make it huge.
Yes, he can. This is one of those circumstances where having access to something like Eidolon of the Great Revel would help. The challenge here is that looking to the sideboard, and again, I don't mean any disrespect to our competitors here, but the sideboard for the mono-red prowess deck mostly is relying on cards that are artifact hate oriented, and the paradoxical outcome deck is playing what I consider to be garbage cards that are not warranting targets.
Right. It's things that you wouldn't care about except that it's critical mass, right?
Correct.
That's all, and that's all paradoxical outcomes. Like, you take my one random artifact, I don't care. I have 7 others that do nothing except when they're all together.
Correct. So from here, Kyle's going to have to leverage. It looks like he has 2 Abrades, 2 Dragonclaw, 2 Exquisite Firecraft, 2 Flame Slash, 2 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Saheeli Sublime Artificer of his own, 2 Shrine of Burning Rage, and a Smash to Smithereens. The challenge for him is going to be those Flame Slashes are going to be unduly burdened to remove both the Psy Master Thopterus as well as the Urzas.
As well as any tokens that might sneak through amongst all of that.
Yes, he doesn't have any wide sweeper effects either, like a Pyroclasm, any kind of Clasm effect. This matchup's probably not... If he gets a fast enough start, it's not that uneven. It's just where we're sitting now in this game.
And Jacob had a really good answer to Kyle's early turns. Like,
Yes.
that early explosives, being able to just, negate some plays on Kyle's part, that put him behind as well.
Correct.
So
the matchup for Jacob probably gets better out of the sideboard.
I mean, I was looking at it, like, you don't have a whole lot actually that you want to bring in. Like, you're not bringing in Thoughtseize against a red aggressive deck. You take 2 damage to prevent 3 damage. The the Oko is probably fine, right?
The Oko is good in this matchup, better in the burn matchups proper.
Yeah. Fatal Pushes are fine if he wants to bring those in. Like, all of his guys cost... actually, all of his creatures are going to be targetable. Some with a Revolt, but most without.
Except for Bedlam Reveler.
No, he's a... Oh, right.
That's an 8-mana
That
card.
That is an 8-mana card. Yeah. But it kills everything else. It's fine.
It does.
Veil of Summer doesn't do anything here. And Pithing Needle doesn't stop the alternate active costs or alternate things that are going on. So
Collective Brutalities that Jacob is running out of the sideboard are pretty terrific here,
yeah,
actually.
because gaining the life. So, like, probably that, Oko, those are the things that I'd be looking at bringing in here.
He can 1-for-1 or 2-for-1.
As we've kind of looked at their sideboard. I mean, Kyle's kind of runnered a couple of Light Up the Stages, but his Burst Lightning does not go to the face. I mean, he can Lava Spike, he can Lava Dart. That's 4 damage.
Burst Lightning goes to the face.
Burst Lightning does not.
Does it not? 2
Nope.
damage to
2
any
damage
target?
to any target. Kicker 4. But it's... Or, sorry, not any target. It can only go to creatures.
Okay.
I remember playing it, and I just don't remember where I was playing it. Okay.
We have anything going on in the chat, by the way, Mark?
No. Okay.
It does go to any target.
200 any target. Huh. Okay. I apologize. For some reason, maybe I'm confusing with a different card. So he went and got Lightning Bolt.
To make it lethal?
Yeah, because he activated the Talisman.
Okay, so he got the win then. Kyle walked away with it.
I
Right there at the end?
believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we can work to verify who won that one.
Yeah. but I believe so. I know we were looking at we were looking at sideboards, and then Kyle stole it from us.
Yeah.
So
And that's yeah.
yeah, our coordinator here, he's gonna check on that for us just to confirm. But yeah, because he used the Wishclaw Talisman, get up the Lightning Bolt, still had the mana for the Lightning Bolt, Burst Lightning, Lava Dart, and
Yeah. And that, kids, is why you don't play Wishclaw Talisman. Jacob did win.
Jacob
Okay.
did win. Okay, so
Kyle didn't put it together.
yeah, okay.
Either way, that's still why you don't play
Actually,
Wishclaw Talisman.
maybe he didn't have enough mana because he only had so much mana. I think he had 5 mana at the end there.
Okay.
So 2 to activate, 1 for Bolt, 1 for Burst Lightning, 1 for Lava Dart. Maybe we just had the life totals wrong. But yeah, Jacob is the winner in that one.
Excellent.
All right, so on to game 2. Now we've already kind of pre-discussed this.
Yep. Things can break Kyle's way very well if he has a strong opening, especially when it's a play-draw conversation. The challenge is that these outcome decks and a lot of the Mox Opal decks right now are all kind of vaguely KCI in a weird way, which is to say that anytime you see people sleeving up more than a single copy of Engineered Explosives in your main deck, and that's just acceptable and good enough to protect your goals as a Magic player in Modern, that deck probably is already worth looking at really hard for bans.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of conversation about whether or not Mox Opal's finally going to go up on the altar by the end of this year. I think that the decks that it is in currently are abusing it, but it's along with a bunch of trinkets and baubles.
Right. I mean, that's just from that's from a lot of the other things. I mean, the deck definitely gets worse without Mox Opal, because the beauty of Mox Opal is that it always taps for mana whether you found your Urza or not.
And here's the thing, though. They just printed this card, Emery, and recently printed a card called Mox Amber, which functionally works in place of Mox Opal.
It does.
So this list that we're looking at from Jacob has currently what amounts to 7 main deck Moxen in it.
Right, and that's a problem in and of itself too. And sure, Mox Amber falls in line with these other artifacts. It feels kind of terrible until you find your other combo piece. Like, oh, now that we have Urza, then we tap for mana. Now that we have Sai, it taps for mana.
Emery makes it tap for mana, and Emery costs 1 mana.
And that's a problem.
New Emery Lurker of the Loch is a 3-mana creature with affinity for artifacts, because we apparently needed more artifact affinity.
Clearly.
Yes.
Well,
Just about ready for game 2 here from Kyle and Jacob. Kyle, I think, will be taking the play. He'll be looking to get out ahead with a fast prowess attack. Hopefully that's enough to get underneath an Engineered Explosives. It's a little... That many Engineered Explosives, because so many of Kyle's guys cost 1. That many Engineered Explosives does not feel good. Doesn't feel very fair.
No, especially when you can just turn 1 explosives, turn 2 blow it, because you only needed explosives on 1.
Right.
And with 4 in the main deck, there's no harm in just doing that.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it plays out. As they're both kind of fighting for fighting for the ability to make top 8 here.
Yeah.
I did double check at one point. We had 41 players today, for the whole tournament.
That's outstanding.
So, we will tiebreakers. Like, we feel like, X1 you're probably fine. X1-1 is where life gets interesting. X2 probably not.
Right.
Because we didn't make that break where you have to play that extra round. So that's probably what they're looking at. Like a win here and you're still alive, a loss and you're probably out of top 8.
It's a turn 1 crash through from Kyle.
Just a cycle, huh?
Both keeps. Kyle brought in Shrine of Burning Rage, ostensibly because that's at least something that, should the game actually go long or grind a little bit, you have access to stacking up enough counters on Shrine of Burning Rage to
just end your opponent.
Yep.
Yep, that makes sense.
Jacob, meanwhile, had an Engineered Explosives or 2 in his starting hand, and I wasn't able to catch the rest of it.
Oh, he has 2 explosives in his opening hand.
That's pretty good. He'll play the Astrolabe and draw a card.
I mean, with no one drop from Kyle, like there's no reason to run out that explosives yet.
Mishra's Bauble. There's your Mox Opal for an Emery Lurker of the Loch. Nope, Witches Well. He'll scry 2. Couldn't catch either card, but he went top in the opposite order. Top bottom.
Top bottom. Okay. And now with all those ones out there, now you're not necessarily on your own engineered explosives on 1, but trying to catch all the cards he has in his hand. Does he have the outcome in his hand?
He might. There's Shrine of Burning Rage. It's a lot of text on that card, ladies and gentlemen. It is a 2-mana artifact that at the beginning of your upkeep or whenever you cast a red spell, you'll put a counter on it. You can pay 2 and sacrifice it to deal X damage to any target, where X is equal to the number of counters on that card.
And most importantly, whenever you cast a red spell, add a counter to it. That's the big deal. You're in
right.
mono red, and it's colorless. So any of that pro red nonsense,
it ignores.
It ignores. But I think Jacob has a really, really...
Sorry, it costs 3 to tap and sack it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think Jacob's hand looks very solid here. It'll be interesting to see how Kyle's hand is definitely not the aggressive start you're typically looking for, especially when you want to go fast to try and beat the combo deck. So there is the Lurker of the Loch, correct?
Nope, that's Psymaster Thopterist. You know it by his aquiline nose and his handsome mustache. Smart and handsome Psy. Oh, and that's going to be a Monastery Swift Spear from the other side of the table, along with a Mana Morphos. Let's see if we can chain something together for some prowess damage. That also should put a counter on his Shrine of Burning Rage, but it looks like Kyle missed it.
Missing it, yeah.
Yeah, he missed both of those triggers. And he just realized that.
His opponent's letting him. So we'll see how his opponent works with this. Officially, it's on his opponent. Like, it's a miss trigger, so it's his opponent's choice whether or not he gets it. Looks like he said no.
Yeah.
They could call a judge if they wanted to verify, but that's how the ruling would work.
There's the Abrade for the Opal.
Yep. And there he's remembering his counter on his Shrine of Burning Rage.
He's got a Bedlam Reveler in his hand.
He did not attack with the Swift Spear.
Not big enough to fight through it.
That's fair.
So there, he's taxing the mana with the Abrade, but there's not
a lot of good targets.
You could, in this case, actually target the Psy, bait the Psy out, but he doesn't have the mana off the Mana Morphos.
Right. There's Engineered Explosives. I believe I saw that was on 1, or is that on 0?
That is on 1.
Okay. And
that's an EE for 0 as well. Just to get the Psy tokens underway.
And then passing back. Like he's just trying to
and he drew and missed that counter.
He drew and missed his counter. And at this point, like this could be just Kyle going on tilt as the opposing board state looks real bad.
We're going to see a smash to smithereens here. That's pretty good. Next turn, the Shrine is active to kill the Psy or an Urza if it resolves.
That's kind of a big key here is the fact that he missed those 2 triggers last turn and his upkeep trigger. Like he could have killed Side this turn, and that one free turn for Jacob to be able to continue making Thopters like that will probably kill him.
Agreed.
So Forked Bolt kills some Thopters, but he's going to get them back.
He has to pass the turn. He can't attack through here. Now the problem is that he's attacked the... This is why I was saying the Braid was an interesting choice. Emery gives you access to your graveyard to rebuy an artifact.
Is it just once per turn?
Yeah. So he casts it, he gets another Thopter token, he plays something else. In this case, he's going to play an Oko, Thief of Crowns, and turn the Shrine of Burning Rage into a 3/3 Elk.
You know what else I wouldn't have minded there is trading the Shrine of Burning Rage actually for like a Thopter token.
Or a Witching Well.
He doesn't have the blue mana to activate Witching Well, and now you have a Shrine of Burning Rage, which you can definitely activate.
Very true. There's a real case to be made for
Oh,
doing that.
I'm sorry. Oko, that ability is on -4, so next
Oh,
turn
sure.
he can trade for the Shrine of Burning Rage.
Yes. Kyle cycled the Sunbaked Canyon to draw a new card, trying to look for outs. And this was what I was talking about in the matchup, looking at Kyle's sideboard. It's not really his fault. Targeted artifact removal, single target removal, does not affect these paradoxical outcomes the way it affected
Like Affinity or
Affinity,
and any of the other
correct.
artifact decks, because like even Lantern, like you can blow up the Lantern if you draw it. Um,
Correct.
Here it's like the paradoxical outcome that he just doesn't care about any of these artifacts. They're blank cards with artifact on them.
Yep. We're going to see another Abrade. And that was the line I thought he would have taken a few turns back when he cast the first Abrade, but that makes sense to me. Getting the Sai off the table cleans up some of the challenges that it's going to present. Emery will continue to be a problem.
Yeah, and it could be too little too late. That's the only thing.
He can rebuy his engineered explosives until the cows come home. He can rebuy that astrolabe that's in the yard. He does have to think through kind of carefully what he's exposing himself to here, just because he doesn't have a lot on board anymore.
He doesn't have a lot of mana either, like as we're seeing here.
Yeah. And that's what he's looking to do, is either draw his way out of it or...
And chains into another Astrolab.
That's got to be a land, right? Is it a land? It's not a land.
It is not a land.
It's still not a land.
I mean, that's definitely the thing keeping Kyle in this game is the fact that Jacob's down to 3 mana.
Play the next Emery. There's a land. There's a Mox.
There's a Mox Amber, which is live. He's got Oko, and he's got Emery.
And he's going to make this engineered explosives or an Astrolabe into a 3/3, so he has a blocker on deck.
Yep, that makes sense.
He's not worried about the critical mass of artifacts at this point. He's got his Emery live. Kyle has to draw pretty hot here. I did not see what that draw was, but I'm excited to find out.
Well, I think he's gonna crack that land. He just played it for a redraw. He's got a mountain, and it looked like a lava spike in hand.
Okay.
So, lava spike upstairs, and then he's probably just gonna sit on redrawing on his end step. Oh, and I think he drew another Mox Opal in his hand. I see that there.
Powerful magic's being played on both sides of the board right now. What do we have? There's our side.
That's the missing piece.
Yeah. One of the sort of understated new additions was the Oko Thief of Crowns to these outcome decks.
Okay.
Actually, all of the Urza decks have been flirting with Oko, either in the main deck or the sideboard, because of the leverage it provides you in those matchups, like burn or on-board aggressive stuff.
Sure.
Making a food, shutting off cards like Collector Oof. And there's the collective brutalities I talked about. He filtered a bunch of blue mana very cleverly using the tap for a blue Urza ability and then filtering that blue into a black with an Astrolabe.
To get your snow mana to get your colored mana for your black spell.
That's correct.
Yep.
And here we're making a food token in case we need it. It also makes
It even taps for mana right now.
It taps for mana. It makes your construct bigger.
Yeah. And Kyle, I believe, he's not out of cards. I believe he had a land left in his hand.
Yes. We used the brutality to clean up the board pretty well there.
Yep.
A second Shrine of Burning Rage.
It's interesting, but without a lot else to go with it, it's probably a little too late.
Yeah. Oko's a problem.
Yes. Swift Spear gets his trigger. And at this point, like, had he forgotten as an opponent, like, if I want to get his Shrine of Burning Rage, I might tell him to happily remind him of his trigger at this point.
End step, sacrifice the Witching Well to draw 2 cards, just looking for a paradoxical outcome.
Yeah.
Or a Sai, or a Saheeli.
anything really.
That's right.
And actually here, I might trade one of my terrible artifacts, like maybe trade him a Mox Amber, which doesn't tap for mana for my opponent,
No, it
to
doesn't.
take his one remaining creature, and then Paradoxical Outcome and just you could build to 20 from here. Assuming he's got the outcome or some way to get the outcome that I haven't seen yet. So casting the Witching Well, it looks like.
Taps for a blue, scries 2. Just looking for a way to put this game away. Tops and bottoms.
I don't think that was outcome though.
No. So what he's going to do here is sacrifice the Witching Well to draw 2 cards. The one he wanted.
The one
it
he
looks
kept
like a
was
Collective Brutality is what he got. So he's going to filter or tap the Amber for a black and a blue. And there's another Brutality. And he's
which
going to discard the Mox Opal.
with no cards in his opponent's hand. That also. Now he discarded a Factory Surplus Urza, and it's not Mox Opal. I thought that was Mishra's Bauble that he drew.
Oh, sure.
And at this point, if you're Kyle, even though like it looks very, very bad, like at down 0-1, it's like you can hope he screws up. These things happen.
Yeah.
But it does not look good for him right now.
There's his explosives for 2.
Which does not actually blow up any of his own stuff,
No,
correct?
no, it does not.
That's cute.
So now he's pushing through a lot of damage. That's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yes. 9, well, actually, no. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Okay.
Because he's got those 3 kind of on the bottom of the screen there that he tapped for mana earlier. And Oko, it looks like Oko made a food after, and there's the
That's
handshake.
gonna be it.
All right, 17 minutes left. I don't know that our backup match will be live, but I will go check on that real quick.
Sure.